6th practice of spring. Not that exciting. Clay? I guess Jerry will do it.
That's fine. Clay?
Clay usually just speaks anyway, so.
I was trying to follow protocol. How does the Luke Fickle, Chris Ash collaboration?
It's going well. It's going well. We've, you've heard the term overhaul. We've been pretty good against the rush defense the last few years, and not very good against pass defense. So it's completely revamping the entire back end of how we do our business, and so far it's been pretty good. The Von Bell injury set us back a little bit, and so Cam Burrows is in there, and we got those 3 safeties we feel good about. Obviously not enough when you.
But it's Chris this and Luke that. They don't.
Oh no. It's completely meshed together very well.
Austin, front row right.
Urban Stin mentioned on Saturday or last week that Dontre was no longer in the running back meeting room. Has his role changed at all? Is it more emphasis on as a receiver?
Yeah, he's a starting H. He took Philly Brown's spot, and so he's full-time receiver. We did take him today and put him in some backfield action. I don't. We use that term Percy Harvin very loosely because there's only probably one of him. But we'd like to. That hybrid position is really a key guy if we can do that. The good thing is Jalen Marshall, before he got hurt, was doing really well. He's got the body type for that, and then a kid named Curtis Samuel. So we got 3 body types that, but by far, Dontre is the #1 spot.
It seemed like thinking back to August that you were more intent on labeling him as a running back, and that you maybe worried about the hands coming along, at least at that point.
Yeah.
Is he?
Much better. Yeah, he's a starting H at Ohio State.
Tim?
Urban, a couple things. Number one, Joshua Perry, did you see him make a move the last couple of games last year? And has he continued to do that from an improvement standpoint?
Yeah.
Becoming a
Yeah, I had him call up the team today because he's without question one of our top 5 most improved players. And demeanor's always been there, work ethic's been there. The toughness element is something that's really improved, and love of the game. And I mean, he's a wonderful guy to coach. So yeah, much improved player.
Are you seeing what you want to see? Kind of an odd question though from Braxton as he stands there and watches and stuff. And I don't know. How
I
much
think
have you
so.
spoken to him, or?
Oh yeah, I talk to him almost every snap. Yeah, I think so. It's just he needs those reps, but what can you do? So yeah, he's doing everything we ask.
Phil?
Could you assess how the wide receiver group is looking, particularly with Devin Smith?
Yeah, Devin's doing good. Our receiver, probably in order, would be Devin Smith, Michael Thomas, without including the tight ends, because they're certainly either 1 or 2 with Jeff Hireman up there. Corey Smith, the JC transfer redshirted last year, has looked good at times. He needs to be more consistent. And I'm trying to think who else we got out there. Evan Spencer is not practicing. He's hurt. And Johnny Dixon's doing good. Jeff Green's doing okay. He needs to keep pushing. James Clark is he's not alive yet, but he had a good day today. He's just not because he had the shoulder surgery.
Do you feel like that unit's going to give you what you need?
I think it's better be one of our strengths.
Far left. Matt?
As you said, it's only 6 practices that are early, but are you seeing a position or positions where the competition is, where you want it, where at this stage you're like, I don't know who's going to emerge in that position, but I'm feeling good about their depth. Are there positions, or is it just across the board when you see?
The only position where there's, I'd say 2, maybe 3. The positions that we've recruited well and there's depth right now is the defensive line. You have some good players out there, not just the first group. So there is some competition. Wide receiver, you see some competition for some spots in the tailback position. Other than that, you just like the offensive line. We're just trying to put that thing together. We don't have enough depth there. That's where Jamarco Jones and Demetrius Knox have to come in and help us. I think the tight end, because Nick Vanette's starting to push Jeff Hireman a little bit. But those are the only positions, and that's not atypical. That's spring practice. That's where you got to count on Eric Smith to come in, Marshawn Lattimore to come in, and Berger, Dante Booker, and Sam Hubbard to come in and push the linebacker crew a little bit. But those are the 3 that I mentioned. You see some competition in the spring because you have depth.
Front row middle. Todd?
Erwin, can you kind of give us your assessment of Saturday scrimmage? And are there any guys who moved up, moved down based on performance Saturday?
Tyvis Powell graded a champion. I should have that for you. I don't have. Tyvis Powell. Tom, was there any offensive guys grade champion? Nick Vanette. And Pat Elfline. Pat Elfline's earned himself a starting spot. He's a starting offensive lineman at Ohio State. And Nick Vanette is, like I said, he's been, from the offseason to now, he's been really pushing for playing time.
What about the running back spot? Is it still sort of a mismatch?
Rod actually had a really good day today. Rod Smith and Ezekiel Elliott, and no one's really separated himself yet.
Second row, Ari.
Coach, down in the South, spring football is such a big part of what they do at the high school level, and obviously has a big impact on the way recruits get noticed and recruiting, and even how you guys are involved. Are you surprised that spring football is not or there's no spring football in Ohio, and how does that impact the way you guys approach recruiting down there as opposed to up here?
That's a good question. It's much easier to evaluate in the South because you get to physically watch them practice. Here you go sit in a weight room and maybe watch them, or maybe they do some skill work. So that's certainly, it's almost another year of football the way you look at it. Is that you have 4 years of spring football. That gives you one more. It's basically 5 years of high school football getting you ready to go. But that's that's the way it is, but there is an advantage for evaluation to go physically watch them.
You ever surprised that with how advanced Ohio high school football is, they haven't gone to that model or in a situation where they have one?
Oh, I don't. You said my surprise?
Surprised that for how important that is.
I know every other year has been conversation. I'm surprised there's not something more where maybe not full spring practice because you have weather issues, but I'm surprised there's not opportunity like when the spring sports are finished, get at least a week in or 2 weeks in. Yeah, I thought at some point they'd do that.
Last couple questions. Doug?
Irwin, whatever you guys did offensively last season, it's like you could always, if you needed to, lean on the offensive line, lean on Carlos. How much will the offense have to be different in the fall? Because even if you guys are good on the offensive line and good at running back, you're maybe not going to be at the point where when in doubt, lean on that. Do you have to be more dynamic to compensate for that, or how much do you think the base of the offense has to change?
Well, that's where Dontre's and Jalen Marshall's and the little bubble screens, and we're going to have to take the pressure. You're right. We won't, as bad as we want an offensive line like we had last year, it's going to take a while to develop that. I think at some point, because we recruited well and our line coach, that'll happen. But no, it's going to be a different, we're going to have to lean on, maybe some perimeter ways of getting first downs and all that, where last year was, when you rush for 300-plus yards a game, it's because that offense line was so good. But we have other weapons. It will be a different little taste to it, though, than we had last year.
Last question, Clay.
Do you think you can find anybody on this campus who's faster than Dontre Wilson? And if there is, and the kid played football, would you let him?
Yes and yes. I think there's – I imagine there's some little guy that runs really fast, or maybe some big guy. If he does, he'll certainly get a tap on the shoulder and say, you want to come play for that? Tom, you got to find a guy faster than Dontre.
I'll take him.
I think, one thing I think that's good that you asked, though, we met with a student newspaper. We're going to meet with the student leaders, and the one group of people that I think often get overlooked are the students, and that's something that that's why we always do something for our students. And this year we have a student day coming up in I think a week and a half, and then just to make sure we're always giving back. The quick cals are always we do all that stuff for the students. So we want students to take ownership of our team. I think that's real important. See you guys.
Thank you, Coach.